Hi, friends. My name is Pumi, and today we are going to talk about how to overcome imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, I have here, is defined as the feeling of anxiousness and not experiencing success internally despite being high performing in external objective ways. So it makes people feel like a fraud. And so there's, often these feelings of doubting your accomplishments or feeling like a fraud, feeling that they'll find out that you don't fit in. And you know what? I've completely experienced that too. And I think most of us experience it at least once in our lifetime. My personal experience, the one that stands to date, is when I went to undergrad at UC Berkeley. And UC Berkeley is known to be this big university that, has all these really smart people and has produced all these amazing scientists and change makers in the world. So that made me afraid. I was anxious. I thought maybe they made a mistake and they admitted me, but once they find out, once they find out, then it's game over. Then it's just like fear that you just won't fit in, especially because everyone at UC Berkeley had crazy AP scores and had all these accomplishments for being 18 years old, and I just followed what was told. Felt like I didn't belong. I felt like someone was going to find out. I felt anxious. I felt like I had to stay quiet or not say anything because I might come off as stupid. So it is a common feeling that a lot of people experience, and let's normalize it and let's talk about how you can overcome it. The first one being acknowledging your feelings. Going deep within and recognizing that you don't feel good enough right now. I feel doubtful. I'm feeling like a fraud. I don't feel like I'm qualified for this position. So letting yourself acknowledge this, because it's your subconscious trying to tell you something and you're ignoring it. So you want to hear yourself out, right? You would hear out a friend, so perhaps we can do that for ourselves. As silly as it sounds, saying it out loud, saying it into your phone, saying it to a pillow, a teddy bear, whatever works for you, as long as you're acknowledging it and respecting yourself. Respect yourself by listening to yourself, right? It's difficult because it's something that you don't want to admit. As weird as it sounds, you're feeling all these feelings, but saying it out loud makes it legitimate, makes it a valid feeling, which it is. It's a valid feeling to have, but they might not be based in reality. That is probably the biggest difference when it comes to having this experience. Another actionable step you can take is by reframing negative thoughts. And it really actually helps to acknowledge your feelings first when you're reframing these thoughts, such as writing them down. So when you write them down in a journal, you're able to look at it more objectively, because as helpful as our feelings are, sometimes they can be clouded by our different response systems. The strongest system within ourselves is our threat system, and that's where the anxiety comes in. Anxiety is not necessarily a bad thing. It's trying to tell you that you're in danger, when our system would have worked thousands of years ago when we were, fighting off tigers and bears. But now it's not the same as giving a presentation, taking on a new role. And so what you want to do is, while you acknowledge those feelings, reframe them. And one of the things in psychology, or if you ever have a therapist, they might tell you, is the thought record method, where you write out your thought, this thought that is not serving you, because it's not, right? It's not helping you at all. So you write it down. I don't feel qualified for this role, whatever it is. And then you write evidence for it and evidence against it. And then afterwards, you create a more balanced thought, which would make more sense than this feeling you're having. So reframing your thoughts really helps with looking at it more objectively, because I think our feelings can cloud our judgment when our amygdala, which is the part of our brain that is responsible for emotional response, it can go in a bit of an overdrive and make these feelings stronger than what reality poses, right? So write them out, find evidence for it, find evidence against it, and create a more balanced thought. And this really seeps into the idea of affirmations, right? I mean, it's become so mainstream, and for a very good reason, because it works. Think about it this way. You've been telling yourself that you're not qualified. Even if you're not telling yourself, you're subconsciously thinking it, which is exactly why you're feeling it right now. So it's been years. Let's use myself as an example. I'm 24 right now. Should I be saying that? Whatever. I'm 24 right now. And I didn't feel like I was good enough to be filming videos like this and posting it. And to be fair, this is like my third one, so I'm still feeling that discomfort quite a bit. And I've been telling myself for a few months that, it's hard. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I'm not telling myself literally, but I am thinking it subconsciously, which is where the anxiety is coming from. And because I've been telling myself this for months, it's like practice, right? Like if you've ever taken a psychology class, you know about Pavlov and the dogs. Classical conditioning. Basically, you give the dog a treat timed with a bell and train the dog to salivate when he hears the bell. So now, without the treat, the dog will naturally salivate when he hears the bell. With that same concept in mind, you've kind of trained and practiced and automated yourself to think like that. Think those negative thought patterns. So with that, you can do the same exact thing, but with affirmations. And perhaps it might not work the first time. You might feel even so silly. I did. I felt so silly, like standing in front of the mirror and telling myself 3 or 5 things that are more positive about myself, things I'm proud of about myself. It felt so weird. It still does sometimes. But push through that discomfort, push through the weirdness. No one's around you to judge you for doing that. It's just you and the mirror. So just do it. Try it for a couple weeks. And through time, through practice, you'll start building stronger neural connections to those positive affirmations. You're building connections here. And I don't know the word, but you're de-strengthening. I think that's the right word. You're de-strengthening the negative thought patterns and you're building these positive ones. It's just like exercising. You can literally apply that to our brain. And the whole concept of practice makes perfect, that is completely true, and it completely applies to everything in life. Practice makes perfect. Keep practicing, keep telling yourself these positive things, and eventually you'll believe it. It took some time for you to believe these negative ones, right? So the same can be done for the positive ones. Another big one is seeking support. Seeking the support from the people that are there to do that. Your mentors, your family, your friends, whoever it is, your dog. There's people here for a reason. We're innately social creatures. We're meant to be in community and, lean on each other when we need support. So go to someone that you trust and share with them how you're feeling about this. And it can be nerve-wracking. It can feel scary because being vulnerable is scary. You're showing a different side of you that you might not show otherwise. And so that can feel a little bit uncomfortable. But it also builds so much strength because by sharing that, you're building a social connection with someone, especially because it's something that someone else will most definitely have experienced at least once in their lifetime. They will be able to understand you. They'll be able to feel for you and get you. And that camaraderie is priceless because you'll actually feel like you belong once you start sharing, because then when you share, it makes other people more likely to share back with you. That sense of belonging gets stronger because you realize just because I have this feeling doesn't mean I don't belong. Just because I don't feel good enough right now doesn't mean I don't belong in this role, in this space, whatever it is. I say this even from personal experience. My second year at UC Berkeley was completely different than my first one. My first one, I was riddled, oh my gosh, with so much imposter syndrome. It was mind baffling, mostly because it was such a new shift. Going from high school to university, it's actually such a growth experience. And so, in that growth, it was really uncomfortable. And part of that was that imposter syndrome, feeling like I'm not good enough to be there. But the second year, I found my people. I found the people that are the most supportive, the most kind, and I was able to find community that way. I was able to confide with people and not feel like I was being judged and share these things with them. It was a little bit nerve-wracking at first to share, but by the end of sharing it, it just strengthened a connection, which it can do for you as well. I highly encourage it. Be brave. We're all, like, if you think about it, no one on this planet is truly an expert because we don't know. Like, a lot of the things that happen in life are unknown to us. There's just so much more science to be discovered. There's so much more to be discovered. So we're never actually ever experts. We're all just professional experts claiming to be so, but we're also human beings that are continuing to learn and continuing to grow. And I think that's something we forget because we look at someone and we think, oh, they're such an expert. They wouldn't understand what I'm going through. But they were there once as well, including Albert Einstein, whom is an icon in human science history. Okay, he left such a legacy, but it didn't mean that he didn't also feel imposter syndrome. Actually, a lot of the most successful people in the world feel it at least once in their life. If you're feeling imposter syndrome, that means you're probably pretty successful. Another big practice that you can incorporate into your routine is practicing self-compassion, which, by the way, by doing the other things we just talked about, you are practicing self-compassion. I guess I just want to talk more so about practicing self-compassion in those moments when you're feeling it the deepest is, taking a break, putting everything down, because it's not going to run away from you. The things you have to start learning, it'll still be there. Take a 5-minute break and focus on your breathing. Place your hand over your heart, take a deep breath, and tell yourself this is just a moment of discomfort. This is all temporary, which is true. Every feeling is temporary, even joy, right? So this feeling is just temporary. It's gonna come and go, and I will get through this because you always have. And this could be a moment to, get that thought record out or write it out, say it out loud. Say out loud some experiences that were difficult that you got through because you have. But it's hard to see that in that moment when your feelings are so amplified, right? So practice some self-compassion. Take a deep breath, relax, do some stretches, take it easy, because if it helps you just be with yourself, do it. But let this be your permission slip. I feel like sometimes we need that, right? So maybe this video can be a reminder for you to take that break. You deserve it. If someone else deserves it, why don't you? You want to celebrate your wins every day, even the really small ones, even the ones that you might feel like it shouldn't have taken this much effort. But you did it, didn't you? You did it. You did it. You did it. And celebrating your wins doesn't take that long. Maybe take 5 minutes, a part of your nighttime routine. If you have enough time to brush your teeth and wash your face and do your skincare routine and get into comfy clothes, then you have 5 minutes to spare for you to sit down on your bed, close your eyes, and say out loud or in your mind, tell yourself the things you're proud of. And that's actually something I've been doing every day, which has shifted a lot of how I think about things, is telling myself 5 things I'm grateful for and 5 things that I'm really proud of from the day. Share with yourself those celebrations, Because we don't really think about our day. It's like such a great way to kind of end your day, right? Thinking about all the things that you did, thinking about the things that you're proud of, you're grateful for, and ending on a positive note. Even if you had a not so great day, there's still at least one win in there. We want to develop a healthy response to failures or mistakes that we've made. And that starts with your nervous system, actually, because when you've done something that you feel like is a mistake, especially in a position where you're already feeling this perpetual imposter syndrome, or what feels like it's perpetual, you want to be able to regulate it, because the first place you start feeling it is in your senses, is in your body, your nervous system. That's what makes us actually so human, is our ability to sense and feel things. That's how we interact, right, with our outside world. And so, when you've made a mistake or done something that you feel like is a failure, you start feeling it in your body. And I'm sure you can agree, maybe your heart races, or you talk a little bit faster, you start sweating, or your chest gets tight, your muscles tense. So you start feeling it in the body, because your body, it's preparing to receive the worst. So what we want to do is to relax it by activating our parasympathetic nervous system, and that's our resting system. A way in which you can activate it is by breathing, right? So you take in a breath for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and you exhale for 6. And you want the exhale to be longer, because that's where your parasympathetic nervous system gets activated. And as you're taking these deep breaths, you want to feel your body, and maybe even imagining. Visualization is so powerful. Your mind is so powerful. You might feel like you don't have control of it, right? Because it is so powerful, but you can. I can start in your breath. So take those deep breaths, have those long exhales, and really soothe yourself. Soothe yourself just like you would soothe anyone else. Feel into it. Experience what your body is feeling in that moment. Take that moment to reframe. Remind yourself that no one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Because in that moment, it might feel like you're the only one that makes mistakes, because you're the only one that experiences yourself on a daily basis. No one else sees it. Everyone else is so focused on their own experiences, because everyone else also makes mistakes. So you're not the only one. And oftentimes, a lot of successful people started by making so many mistakes, so many failed prototypes, so many shifts in project ideas. The light bulb did not get invented in one shot. And so it takes time, it takes failures, and really, this is where you can reframe it as well. In that moment when you're feeling like, shoot, I failed on this, I did something wrong, you might want to start thinking, okay, I made a mistake. That is normal. Everyone does it. What can I learn? What can I learn from this mistake? Because actually, it's just a learning moment. It's not a failure, it's a learning moment. It'll feel so good in a couple moments, or a couple months, years, whatever it is, when you look back at that one moment where you had that learning, made that mistake. I almost said mistake, where you had that learning moment, and you can see the growth you've experienced. Like, wow, I did that. I did that. I made that mistake, but look at where I am now. I only learned from it. Oh, I also want to go back. I forgot one thing. The reason you want to activate that parasympathetic nervous system, calm down your body, is because when you're calming your body down, you're also calming and slowing the activation of your amygdala, which is this emotion response system, right? So you're slowing it down and allowing your more executive functions to come into play. Because when we're so emotionally heightened, we can't think objectively. It becomes a lot harder because it just floods our brain. So calming that nervous system down allows your executive function, your frontal cortex, your prefrontal cortex, to do its job. So yeah, let's develop a healthy response to learning moments. And that can be different for everyone, of course, but this could be the baseline to you testing things out, seeing what works for you, does this breathing method work for me? What would work? Would it be more helpful to go on a walk to release my emotions, to calm it down? Would it be more helpful to sit down and breathe? Do what works for you. And with that note, Henry Ford, who is a pretty successful person, right? He said, failure is only the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. And that's exactly what these failure moments are. The last thing I wanted to share is I I don't know any scientific basis on this, but this really works for me. Is, when I'm thinking about how I don't deserve this role, I don't deserve this experience, I don't deserve whatever it is, I just think about how I'm discrediting the universe or the person that provided this opportunity to me. If it's a role in life, if it's that you went viral on social media, whatever it is, if you're feeling like you don't deserve it, you're, I think, also not feeling grateful for that opportunity that you have, right? You're not living in gratitude for that experience. And you're discrediting those people that helped you get viral, that helped you get that role. You're discrediting their autonomy essentially by saying that they made a mistake by hiring you. And of course, that might not work for everyone, but using some of that psychology definitely works on me when I'm feeling uncomfortable or some discomfort about a role, how many, views I got on something, whatever it is. If I just tell myself that, it helps me be more grateful. Like, thinking, yeah, why am I discrediting these people that are supporting me? That's not fair to them. It's almost making them not valuable in what they had to offer for me to get there. Because let's be honest, wherever we are, it's never a result of us as the sole reason for getting there. There's so many people that were involved in the place you are right now, which goes back to the fact that we're social creatures. We help each other, even when we don't realize it, right? My parents have helped me get where I am. My friends have helped me get where I am. My mentors, supervisors have helped me get where I am. The people and people that I don't know have helped me get where I am one way or another, even if I don't realize it. I hope this was helpful. I would love some feedback if you have any, and also to share your own experiences down in the comments. When you've experienced imposter syndrome, what did that feel like? How has it changed? What have you done to help with imposter syndrome? What works for you? So I appreciate the sense of community that we'd hopefully have by talking about it more in the comments. So yeah, thank you so much, so much for listening to me babble. I really appreciate it. And keep celebrating yourself because you deserve it. And if no one's told you, I'm telling you now, you frickin' deserve it.